are a river city, a bold city, the First Coast, a place to create and to belong. Here, the sun shines a little brighter, and so do the people. We share a love for our region, a pride for JAX, and a passion for the beautiful game, dedicated to giving everyone a sporting chance. Together, we will elevate soccer and sport in our community by lifting every voice. We are Sporting Club Jacksonville. We are Sporting JAX.
Hello and welcome into the Sporting JAX Report. I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up, Mauricio Ruiz joins me to discuss a major crowd for the Oakland Roots. A local soccer star gets her first call-up to the U.S. women's national team, and we meet the state champion Ponte Vedra girls soccer team. But let's start with more on last week's big announcement and what it means to Sporting JAX. Last week, Mark Warburton was introduced as the head of soccer and sporting director for the club. Now it's time for him to get to work. There is a lot to do before the women kick off in the USL Super League in August, and then the men in the USL Championship after that. Warburton joined me on the Sporting JAX Soccer Hour on 1010XL this week, where he told me that he's excited to get started. We delved into his love of Bruce Springsteen, growing up in London, and his journey from player to financial trader to manager to sporting director. And I asked him what would be his first thing on the agenda as he takes the reins of Sporting JAX.
Create a roster and a team that the community can be proud of when they go to see, they can enjoy when they go and see, and I hope they can enjoy them winning when they go and see them. But it's about getting that roster together, the quality of staff, and showing the community that the club is moving forward.
What do you see as important and even vital in that process to be able to create that pathway all the way up?
Well, firstly, clarity of pathway, understanding what's involved in that pathway and seeing it, the aspirational side. It's making sure that the relationship with Florida Elite, fantastic with Sean and his staff, and the help they've given me as well, but soon to become Sporting JAX Academy, and it's making sure that, again, every single child involved in that academy is treated with the same level of care and attention and enjoys their soccer. That's the key thing. I hear people say how we won this, you lost it. Did the child enjoy his game of soccer? Did they enjoy being part of the club? If that's, then they're learning, they're in a good place. And sometimes that gets ignored, Cole. As I say, we all want to win. Don't get me wrong, I'm as competitive as anyone on the planet. But at the end of the day, it's about getting the right product, the right environment that every single child enjoys being part of the club. Promotion,
relegation, what kind of impact is that going to have on Sporting JAX and on the kind of players and people who could be coming here to Jacksonville?
Well, if I tell you that the biggest game in world football, the most lucrative game, is a championship player final. I've been involved. We're very lucky to be in that championship, and it's Wembley. It's the biggest game financially in world football. The level of excitement is quite incredible. What it does for the fan bases and football in general. So for us to have it here, what's the difference is the travel distance is obvious. So it means the media coverage is very important in terms of fans being able to follow the team. But the excitement when you go to a game, those must-win games, you know, the first leg is away and you come back, it's 1-1, and that type of situation, the scenario, you're creating an environment that the fans will love and embrace and the players will relish being part of. Nerve-wracking, absolutely, but it's so very important for the game. I think it's a huge step. Here's this British guy coming in from outside, but personally, I think it's a huge step for American soccer.
Yeah, going to be huge for that, no doubt about it, once it finally does get put into place. Time now for the USL Championship Game of the Week. And this week, it's the Florida Derby between the Tampa Bay Rowdies and Miami FC. These two clubs have a rivalry dating back to the NASL days. And last week, they met in South Florida for an early season Sunshine State showdown. To Pit Bull Stadium we go, where Tampa Bay had won 6 straight against their Florida rivals heading into this one. Both teams looking for their first win of the season. Perhaps some early match jitters for Tampa Bay. Just the second minute when the Rowdies goalkeeper Nicholas Campisi comes off his line for a high bouncing ball, but he doesn't get there in time, and Francisco Bonfilio gets their first beautiful one touch to make it 1-0 Miami 90 seconds in. Ahead to the 31st minute, Nick Moon to Wubens Passius. Oh, what a goal that was. Puts it past Bill Hamid. First goal in a Rowdy shirt for Passius, and we're level at 1. It remained tied until first half stoppage time. Another one from Tampa Bay. Lewis Hilton curls one in, and watch the volley by Danny Crisotomo. Oh, that is a thing of beauty. 2-1 Tampa Bay, and from there, the Rowdies locked down Miami. Second half stoppage time, Tampa Bay wins it 2-1. 7 straight wins against Miami, and the Rowdies get their first victory of the 2025 season. Mauricio Ruiz, the Rowdies are going to be a dangerous team this year.
They did. Tampa Bay, they're starting a little bit of a neutral, their head coach thinks that they deserve more than what they have right now. And certainly the game against Miami, they were able to get all 3 points on the road. Even though Miami gave them a scare, going up 1-0 early, a mistake on the back line. But Tampa Bay with Arteaga at the top, they just have too much firepower. And Miami can just continue to struggle to identify, to find out who they are, what's their true identity. And if it wasn't for Bill Hamid in goal, that could have been a much, much larger deficit for Miami. So yeah, it was competitive on the scoreboard, but the game told a different story.
All right, let's take a look at the USL Championship standings. It is very early in the season, of course, but taking a look at the Eastern Conference, you got Detroit FC on top with Louisville City coming in second. Those two teams just separated by the tiebreaker, both with 7 points from 3 matches. Loudoun United as well, right there with 6 points. That might be the early surprise in the East. In the Western Conference, things have a little different look as well. We'll get to that here in just a moment. There it is, Western Conference. San Antonio on top, 3 wins from 3. They have been the best team of the league in the early portion of the season. Monterey Bay and New Mexico United, along with FC Tulsa, 6 points. Again, very early on. We'll keep an eye on the standings, but something to follow as the season progresses. Another notable moment in the USL Championship came as the Oakland Roots held their home opener in the Oakland Coliseum. The team welcomed a capped crowd. They had to stop the ticket sales, but 26,575 filled the lower bowl at the Coliseum in what was a remarkable scene. To put it in perspective, the Oakland A's of Major League Baseball didn't average that number in any season in the last 2 decades. Mauricio, that certainly makes a statement.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the Bay Area, obviously a huge population in that area, a huge Latin American population, combined with just the fever for sports that area has, with all of their organizations that a lot of them, as you mentioned, have departed the area. So for them to kind of claim another team as their own in Oakland Roots in a historic venue like the Coliseum, what a scene that was. I think the number was around 26,000 people. That's a big space. It didn't completely fill the entire space. If they can get a little bit of momentum going with that crowd, even though the result didn't go their way, San Antonio had a really good performance on the road. But it looked like an unbelievable venue, great atmosphere. And it's really what Oakland Roots was looking for when they're looking for a home in the last couple of years of organization. It seems like they found a really good one.
Now the question is, how do they build on that kind of a big night?
Yeah, they have to continue to do the grassroots work in the community that they've done such a good job, even in their previous home. Now the fans know where to go. They know how to make that place a fortress for their home team, and they got to keep building it, right? People will come with success. Their diehard fans will continue to come anyways, but to kind of attract that neutral, that lukewarm, maybe even not a soccer fan to come to the stadium and to enjoy that experience, they got to get rolling on a couple wins. And someone like Monterey Bay, it's a good evidence of what they're doing. The Oakland Roots got to get going on the scoreboard as well and kind of climb up to that table, because that could be an unbelievable venue and environment to make it a home fortress.
All right, good stuff, Mal. Thank you. This week, Sporting JAX announced a partnership with Adidas, who will be the team's kit supplier. You'll see Adidas on teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Juventus. The first kit for Sporting JAX will be unveiled this spring, and the first time we'll see the Adidas kit with the Sporting JAX crest will be when the USLW and USL League Two sides open play in May. Then, the USL Super League Women's Pro Team will don the shirts for the inaugural season beginning in August. The deal will also see the players on the Sporting JAX Soccer Academy wearing the kits. Season tickets are on sale now for Sporting JAX inaugural USL Super League season, kicking off in August at Hodges Stadium. Tickets start as low as $10 per game for students and go up to the field seats and premium hospitality. Join the movement and be a part of the first professional women's team in Jacksonville. Go to sportingjax.com or call 904-863-KICK for more information. For the second season, the USL Championship has 2 national TV partners. 11 games will be aired either on CBS or ESPN2, with another 22 scheduled to air on CBS Sports Network. Last year, 3 games on CBS were seen by over 1 million viewers. Every USL Championship team will appear on national TV at least once. And again, the USL Championship final on November 22nd will air nationally on CBS. Remaining games will be streamed on ESPN Plus and CBS Golazo Network. The first nationally televised game of the season, less than a month away, April the 6th, as San Antonio FC hosts Phoenix Rising. Still to come, Becky Burleigh joins us to give her perspective on the first call-up of the women's national team for a local soccer star. That's next, as the Sporting JAX report rolls on.
A new major league is coming to the First Coast. A bold new team for all of Jacksonville to support. The USL Super League is here to elevate women's sports to new heights. Sporting JAX creates a local pathway to pro soccer for young women and girls. The future of women's soccer is now. Join the movement and be part of Jacksonville's first women's professional soccer team. Season tickets available at sportingjax.com.
You can catch every USL Super League game streaming on Peacock. Tonight at 6, it's the Tampa Bay Sun at Brooklyn FC. Then at 7, Carolina Ascent hosts Dallas Trinity. Every game streaming live on Peacock. How about some USL Super League highlights? Let's start in Tampa Bay, where the Sun hosted the Spokane Zephyr for a midweek matchup. Second half, scoreless until the 61st minute when Allie Cook sneaks in and intercepts the ball. Ashley Orcus saves it, but it goes to Taylor Imler, and look at this shot. Upper 90, impossible to stop. 1-0 Spokane. Near the end of regulation, Tampa Bay off an indirect free kick from just outside the box. They play it short here to Natasha Flint, who finds a little bit of space and gets it in to equalize just before the end of regulation time. But in stoppage time, Spokane with some heroics. Allie Cook on the run, the one-timer. Spokane wins it 2-1. Brooklyn FC hosting Dallas Trinity. On another Wednesday night matchup, just 6 minutes in, Cam Lancaster gives the visitors the 1-0 lead. Able to just get around the keeper and put it away. 1-0 at that point. Dallas scored 6 against Brooklyn in Texas a couple weeks ago. They went at 3-0 this time around. Brooklyn then moved on to the nation's capital to face DC Power. Brooklyn up 1-0 in the 84th minute. Claire Constant down to Gianna Gorley, who runs onto it. A 1-1 draw there. Another big performance from Carolina playing at Lexington. Ascent scored 3 in the first half. Then the icing on the cake here, Jillian Aguilera sets up Audrey Harding. 4-0 Carolina with a big win away. Let's take a look at the standings in the USL Super League. Remember, the top 4 teams will advance to the playoffs. We're fairly early on in the second half of the season, but it still bears watching. Fort Lauderdale United, the hottest team in the league right now. They're on top. And the team to beat, they have a game in hand on Brooklyn FC with Carolina and Dallas 3rd and 4th. Tampa Bay trying to claw their way into playoff positioning. We welcome in Becky Burleigh now. All right, Becky, let's start with some news from the U.S. women's national team. Emma Hayes announcing the roster for the 2 friendlies against Brazil and some notable additions. 19 of 23 players from the She Believes Cup are on the roster, but I want to talk about 2 who were not. Trinity Rodman first returns to the lineup. First of the triple espressos to come back in. What are your expectations for Rodman?
I'm really excited to see her back on the roster. And, you know, there's a little bit of me that's really excited to see her back on the roster without the other 2, because I think it'll give her an opportunity to really create her own identity. Not that she doesn't have one, because she's a pretty big personality, but it'll be fun to watch her come back. I think everybody's excited about her return.
The other player I want to talk about is Jacksonville's Avery Patterson. First time call up for Patterson, former Bulls star. And she must have really impressed Emma Hayes during that Futures camp.
I'm so glad to hear this, because she is the type of player to me that the national team really could use more of. She's versatile, she's technical, she's tactical. Her soccer IQ is off the charts. And just to have somebody of that versatility and that capability on the roster, I think opens up a lot of possibilities. All
right, now let's take a look at another team in the USL Super League. We're profiling the Dallas Trinity Becky, this is a team that really took advantage of adding players in the offseason, in the midseason break.
Absolutely. And hats off to Chris Petroselli for orchestrating that as the GM and even being able to attract the type of talent that he has. And I think he's got a geographical advantage that Lexi Missimo is in his backyard, but he's also added a couple other Dallas locals that have really done well. Cam Lancaster has done really well there, and they've just had a real exciting second half. And I think they're just going up, continuing to go up.
This is a team, the challenge of bringing in these players mid-season is, can you fold them in to what you're doing, or can they elevate players around them? It certainly seems like those moves have really paid off in that regard.
I think the biggest challenge of a first-year team is that when you see what you have, it recognizes what you need. If you can go out and get that, then you have to you almost play people over the people that you started it with. That's a tough dynamic, but it's also part of a normal evolution as you build a team. And so whatever they've done to solve the issue of the team dynamic in terms of how the players that were starting the program have kind of evolved into maybe having a secondary role, they've done a really good job with that because the performance on the field has been excellent.
Thank you, Becky. If you sign up for season tickets now for the USL Super League season, you'll receive a limited edition inaugural season scarf. Be a part of the first pro women's team in Jacksonville history. Go to sportingjax.com or use that QR code for more information. Still to come, our youth soccer spotlight, how the Ponte Vedra Sharks overcame a late season crisis to repeat as state champions. That's next as the Sporting JAX report. In the coming weeks, Sporting JAX will be unveiling the inaugural kit, but you can already get official Sporting JAX merchandise. From shirts and hats to sweatshirts and scarves, head to sportingjax.com/shop or use the QR code on your screen to get your official club gear today. It's time now for the Youth Soccer Spotlight presented by the Bearded Pig Barbecue. And this week we're taking a look at where the third of the three state championship teams from our area really shined. The Ponte Vedra girls soccer team, the Sharks were defending champions, but in a way kind of flew under the radar this season. Still, they only lost one game until the final week of the season when they played the Montverde Academy tournament. There they lost to the hosts 4-1 and then lost to North Fort Myers 4-0. Some teams could have had a crisis of confidence. Instead, the Sharks rallied around one another and went on a postseason run. Interesting that all three teams that won state titles from our area had to overcome some adversity in that season. This is certainly one of those cases where this team pulled together and showed just how important team spirit can be.
After we lost that last game, there were some difficult moments. There were some tears, and I kind of, I back away, see how they handle things, and so the girls, because they really haven't lost like that, and embarrassed, felt terrible, down on themselves, and the other girls came and picked them up, and so you could see kind of like that group getting together, helping each other through that situation. And then there wasn't amazingly there wasn't any loss of confidence. They just doesn't matter. I mean, we're good. We can beat anybody.
As with other PV teams, we're very close and we're all best friends. We have inside jokes and we get along easy, and it just makes the team better in the end.
Was there a moment where you thought, yeah, we've got it. We have an opportunity to repeat and do something special?
Probably once we had success in regionals. We were playing really well, and I thought we could really do it and make it all the way. Just
the resilience, probably, of again, you had mentioned the expectations of Ponte Vedra soccer, and this whole area, St. Johns County, is as good of girls soccer as anywhere in the state by far. So there's a rivalry, Bartram, Creekside, Nice, Beachside, Decoy. So there's a pride, a rivalry thing, which helps. It helps all of our programs get to a different level, because first and foremost, we got to deal with all the schools within our county, which are as good as any in the state. So that kind of helps.
I do want to point out three things that really stood out to me about all three of the state championship teams that we've profiled here. First, the players themselves being resilient, which is a huge thing. All three teams had that. The coaches creating an environment where the players can lead in those tough times. And then third, we have some very talented girls soccer players in our area. Once again, we know that. And that can only be a positive for the future of women's soccer in Jacksonville. Be sure to join us every Tuesday night at 6 on 1010XL for the Sporting JAX Soccer Hour. You can also listen online or on demand at 1010XL.com. Still to come, we look ahead to the Premier League action this weekend. That's next as the Sporting JAX. Most every week you can catch the Sporting JAX report on Saturdays before Premier League action, but with the Premier League off for the FA Cup this week, and then next week you can catch us Sundays at noon on ABC 25. Of course, you can always catch the Sporting JAX report on First Coast News Plus or on the Sporting JAX YouTube channel. Speaking of the FA Cup, quarterfinal action underway this weekend. A lot of the clubs who are still available for the FA Cup have never won hardware. Mauricio, this would be huge for some of those Premier League clubs to try to win a trophy.
Yeah, I would say for everybody that's still in contention, that's a Premier League club, this is it, right? I mean, pretty much everything else, it's outside of, from lifting a trophy standpoint, it's outside of reach because Liverpool is just so far ahead. Now, you do have Nottingham Forest and Man City that are still competing for Champions League position in the top 4, so that's still relevant for them. But as far as lifting silverware, this is really the last opportunity for all of these clubs. So if I'm Brighton and I'm outside of Champions League position, if I'm Aston Villa, still looking on the outside in, lifting a trophy this season is significant. For Nottingham Forest and Man City, if they don't lift this trophy, but they can still get into the Champions League, which is still very much a huge reward, maybe it's not, the FA Cup isn't the end all, but I would imagine for a Brighton, for an Aston Villa, and certainly for a Preston North End, I mean, what a story this would be. A team from the championship, which is not even doing that well in the championship, mind you, to even get to the final, I think it would be a huge, huge outcome for them and for their fan base.
Season tickets are on sale now for Sporting JAX inaugural USL Super League season, kicking off in August at Hodges Stadium. Tickets start as low as $10 per game for students and go up to the field seats and premium hospitality. Join the movement and be a part of the first professional women's team in Jacksonville. Go to sportingjax.com or call 904-863-KICK. for more information. Hey, be sure to follow us for everything going on with Sporting JAX on social media, whether it's on X or Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok. Follow us for the very latest on pro soccer in Jacksonville. Thanks so much for watching the Sporting JAX Report. We'll talk to you next week, everybody.
Sporting JAX was named after a year of consultation with the First Coast community, who wanted our soccer clubs to be accessible and authentic. They told us it was important for our brand to strongly represent both our women's and men's teams, and to proudly represent our entire region, widely known as JAX.
Like our city, our club's crest is bold and determined. Our shield symbolizes our resolve to honor and defend the First Coast. Our circular badge represents our inclusivity of all.
As Sporting JAX, our name supports our mission to provide everyone in our community with a sporting chance. Our colors, chosen by our fans, are inspired by our beloved First Coast sunrises, symbolic of our region's stunning natural beauty.
Playing at the highest levels of the United Soccer League, our club is committed to providing a true local pathway to professional soccer, to elevating soccer and other sports in our community, and to lifting every voice in everything we do, both on and off the pitch.
We are Sporting Club Jacksonville.
We are Sporting JAX.